The selection of JD Vance as Donald Trump's running mate was one of the most disastrous decisions Trump has ever made in his life, and maybe the worst decision in the history of presidential politics. JD Vance has been such an incredible drag on the Trump campaign in so many ways that make me so incredibly happy. But what he just said in an interview on Fox about Taylor Swift that completely backfired on Donald Trump might be the worst thing he's done so far. And I know that's difficult to believe considering how bad JD Vance has been out on the campaign trail. But when you see this moment, you will agree. And of course, Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris might be a bit of a result of JD Vance's actions. Of course, Taylor, at the end of her endorsement that she posted on Instagram, called herself a childless cat lady, poking a little bit of fun at JD Vance there, and a historic endorsement. So before we get to what JD had to say, I think it's important to show a little bit of contrast between these two running mates, Tim Walz and JD Vance, and what Tim Walz's response to the amazing endorsement of Kamala Harris by Taylor Swift was right here.
I was so heartened and impressed by her selection of running mate Tim Walz, who has been standing up for LGBTQ plus rights, IVF, and a woman's right to her own body for decades. I've done my research and I've made my choice. Your research is all yours to do, and the choice is yours to make. I also want to say, especially to first-time voters, remember that in order to vote, you have to be registered. I also find it's much easier to vote early. I will link where to register and find early voting dates and info in my story. With love and hope, Taylor Swift, signed Childless Cat Lady. I have to get your response to that, Mr. Governor.
All those things, I am incredibly grateful, first of all, to Taylor Swift. I say that also as a cat owner, a fellow cat owner. Look, Swifties, you heard it. We know that it's there. That was eloquent, and it was clear. And that's the type of courage we need in America to stand up. We've seen it out of those Republicans who were at the DNC. We've seen it out of women who would like to have their own personal lives kept personal, but are forced to go out there because they nearly died because they can't get abortion services in a pregnancy. And now you have somebody like Taylor Swift coming out, making that very clear. This would be the opportunity, Swifties. KamalaHarris.com. Get on over there. Give us a hand. Get things going.
You could see how impactful that was to Tim Walz. I love whenever he puts his hands over his heart. It just feels so meaningful. Tim Walz is just the perfect contrast to JD Vance, who is the most inorganic, inauthentic person in the world. And Tim Walz constantly delivering heartfelt messages on the campaign trail about joy, about unity, about bringing us together. I absolutely love that contrast. And I was so happy to see how happy Tim Walz was about that Taylor Swift endorsement. Seeing him here at live was just so great. But of course, JD Vance had a different reaction, a much angrier reaction, as we can always come to expect from JD Vance. And like I said, not only did it backfire on him, but it backfired on Donald Trump in one of the worst ways I have seen from JD Vance. So let's just check out that clip.
Endorsement of Harris and Walz right after. She has 283 million followers on Instagram, and I'm sure that someone brought to your attention that she signed it childless cat lady. This is a phrase that you are going to hear in your dreams and your nightmares probably for many years to come. How do you speak to women voters who obviously they care about what she thinks?
Of course. Well, look, we admire Taylor Swift's music, but I don't think most Americans, whether they like her music or fans of hers or not, are going to be influenced by a billionaire celebrity who I think is fundamentally disconnected from the interests and the problems of most Americans. Look, when grocery prices go up by 20%, it hurts most Americans. It doesn't hurt Taylor Swift. When housing prices become unaffordable, it doesn't affect Taylor Swift or any other billionaire. It does affect middle-class Americans all over our country. And so
you have to be kidding me. Really? This is the most hypocritical statement I have ever heard in my entire life. The direct quote, I don't think most Americans are going to be influenced by a billionaire celebrity who I think is fundamentally disconnected from the interests and the problems of most Americans. You just described your running mate. That's who he is. Except maybe take out the billionaire part. I don't really think he is anymore. I don't know if he ever was. But that is Donald Trump. someone who is disconnected from what actual Americans care about. Donald Trump, of course, the most self-concerned person in the world, only caring about whatever his interest is in a given moment. We have seen that repeatedly. We see that with his plans to only focus on giant tax cuts for the rich while costing Americans an average of about $4,000 a year more in costs because of his tariff plan that hurts the middle class, effectively a Trump tax. How does JD Vance not understand the words coming out of his mouth? Just completely backfiring on Donald Trump. And again, JD Vance, Donald Trump, the only time they ever speak the truth is when it hurts them. And what JD Vance said about Taylor Swift wasn't true. But if you put that in the context of Donald Trump, it certainly is. Absolute hypocrisy. And we see a lot of this MAGA melting down after the Taylor Swift endorsement. And that came again with Megyn Kelly, who was real upset about Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris, and especially her praise of Tim Walz in this clip right here.
Fundraising was known to funnel the money to Hamas. And I said, people should boycott her. It was an offhanded comment. People went nuts. Some lunatic dropped a note in my personal mailbox outside my house begging me not to boycott Taylor Swift, as though I have that power. I'm allowed to criticize Taylor Swift, and I don't give a who gets upset. This is disgusting. If she wants to vote Harris Walz, she can do it all she wants. But to say the reason she's doing it is because of Tim Walz's stance on LGBTQ, F you, Taylor Swift, and F all of the people who want to see these children have body parts chopped off and watch them sterilized under the age of consent, and then will ride off to their multi-gazillion-dollar mansions, never to think of them again. Emily, this is unbelievable. The left is losing its mind. She signed it Taylor Swift, childless cat lady.
So MAGA found an opportunity to do two of their favorite things, which are lie, of course. Megyn Kelly, they're lying about gender-affirming care. And two, attack one of the most popular people on the planet in Taylor Swift. We have seen MAGA come after cats, come after ice cream. Kristi Noem went after dogs. Now we're seeing MAGA more and more come after Taylor Swift. They just hate all of the things people like the most. But what a ridiculous, angry attack from Megyn Kelly. I don't expect a lot from her, and that didn't necessarily shock me, but it was just gross to hear. So filled with anger. And what Tim Walz's support for the LGBTQ plus community means is that for decades, he has been an ally. He has been compassionate. He has been caring. And he said this so perfectly. It's easy to be an ally when it's easy to be an ally. But when it's not easy, that's when it matters most. And that's what Tim Walz has done for decades. And that's something Megyn Kelly is trying to attack. Really? It's just so gross. And it's so gross that they're upset about Taylor Swift's endorsement, especially when you compare Taylor Swift to who Donald Trump has around him supporting his campaign. And Jake Tapper talked about that right here.
Trump is actually traveling with some of these folks, conspiracy peddlers. We should note a veritable legion of doom of bigots and liars, perhaps none so depraved as this woman, Laura Loomer. Here she is getting off of Trump's plane before yesterday's debate. Just on Sunday, she posted an insanely racist message that if Harris, whose mom was an Indian immigrant, wins, quote, the White House will smell like curry and White House speeches will be facilitated via a call center, unquote. On this 23rd anniversary of 9/11, we should also note Loomer posted last year that 9/11 was a, quote, inside job, unquote. Trump continues to bring this person along on his travels with him. Why? I don't know.
Laura Loomer is one of the grossest political figures I don't think we talk enough about. I try to bring her up as much as I possibly can on this show because she is so out of reality, and for that reason, she is so inside the Trump circle. A crazed conspiracy theorist who says some of the most insane things that you will ever hear, and she has the ear of Donald Trump right in his inner circle. Just as much as the danger that Donald Trump poses should be something we talk about all the time, the danger those around him pose as well should be of equal importance. That is the fear, that is the danger of Project 2025. Not just that Donald Trump is dangerous, but those around him, his cultists who want to attack our government and our freedoms. Those people are just as aggrieved and just as dangerous as Donald Trump. And Laura Loomer is a great example, someone who I'm sure he would put in his administration, and that should terrify all of us. It's frightening, especially with the decline that we see in Trump and how those people would abuse their power every which way they possibly could. And we know, of course, Donald Trump broke down in that debate last night because we saw it with our own two eyes. But it was so bad that even Jesse Waters right here had to admit that Trump failed.
Yes, she had Trump on the defensive a lot of the time. Yes, Trump snapped a couple times. But that's not what the regular voter cares about.
When you're losing Fox, you know you're losing. Not even Donald Trump's propaganda wing can defend him, and that really warms my heart. It makes me so happy to see the utter collapse happening around Donald Trump every single day. And we're going to keep talking about it right here on this show every single day. And if you want to support the work we're doing, as always, you can hit that subscribe button if you haven't already and leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, make sure to drop a blue heart in the comments so I can like it, and thank you for your support. And until next time, I'll see you soon.